Hi, my name is Teresa Kissoon. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you so much for buying my Christmas How to Paint Christmas window video. I'm going to show you a couple of the images that I use, a couple of the patterns that I've used over the years that I've developed, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to decorate your own window. You don't need to buy any of those cardboard Santa heads anymore, or those cardboard things you tape on the window. You can paint your own windows. The nice thing about my technique of window painting is that it works like stained glass. So what I do is I outline a simple image like in a coloring book. It's all black, and then I color it in. And so the sun shines through the window during the day, and then at night when it's dark outside, the light from inside the business shines through the window to the other side. So you can always see the design whether it's daytime or nighttime. So that's the kind of unique thing about my window painting. What I do is I always like to make sure if I can, if it's a large window, small window, especially if you're in somebody's house, your own house in particular, what you want to do is you want to lay down a little bit of paper towel. I normally do this. If you have newspaper, that's okay too. I just go ahead and lay a little bit down. In case I drip or I drop the paintbrush, it's all going to fall on that, and you don't have to worry about any kind of expensive flooring. However, acrylic does clean up very easily. Basically what acrylic paint is, it is liquid plastic. So on a hard surface, it wipes up pretty good even if it dries. But if you get it in your clothes, it seems to seep into the fibers, and it won't come out if you let it dry on your clothes. So if you get it on your clothes, if you clean it right away, put a lot of soap on it and clean it up, it'll come out of your clothes. Just a little tip there. Because sometimes people come into a business, they walk through a door and you have paint on the door and they get it on their coat. I say run to the bathroom, put a lot of soap, get it wet, clean it off while it's still wet. Okay, so let's get started. So here I have my little cup of water and my cup of black paint. I'm going to draw a candy cane, and there are two ways that I've learned to do this over the years. If you have a straight edge, this actually is a ruler. It's just that the paint is dried on all the numbers. So using a straight edge works really well. You want to make sure the paint is pretty wet, very liquidy, the acrylic paint, and it just slides right down. When you're drawing, when you're in the drawing phase of window painting, you see how transparent it is? You want it to be very light. You don't want the thick black paint yet because you want to get the design just right. So that's pretty quick. Another way I do a straight line is I fill my paintbrush with water and I just let it drip down like that. And gravity just pulls it down in a straight line. It isn't always straight because of the window, but if you don't have, or you forget your yardstick, I do this. Okay. We're not going to be using this one. Just wipe that off. Okay. From there, I'm going to go ahead. From there, I'm going to go ahead and I kind of want the candy cane to be a little smaller than the other one. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You want this to be about the same width as the short part of the candy cane. And what I do as well is I get a wet paper towel, and it makes it real easy to move the design around. You see how I'm doing that? If I had thick black paint, it wouldn't move around as much. So I can move it around if I make a mistake very easily. And I stop before I get to the edge of the window. Do you see how the edge of the window, some businesses have like a rubber seal here, and they don't really like the paint on there, so I go just before the edge of the window. Your businesses kind of appreciate that because when they go to scrape it off, and if you go over, like over on this, what I do is I just go straight down and wipe it off like that. Whoops. It's good to put the yardstick on the floor. Okay, and then I'll just go around like that. I have my wet paper towel. See, I want my candy cane to go down to about here. You know, candy canes sloop at the end here. Okay, it looks a little thicker than this, so I'm going to bring this over. Go ahead and wet my paintbrush. Bring this over just a little bit like that. And I think that's a better thickness. It looks more equal. Okay? And see how, again, see how thin it is? I can very easily move it around and shape out my candy cane as I need it. So once again, I'm going to put just a little bit of black paint on my brush and get it wet. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my candy cane stripes. You know how candy canes go like this? And they swirl around the edge. And you try to make them even as possible. Get down to the bottom. There we go. Now that I'm pretty happy with the design, I go in and I make it a solid, opaque, black outline all the way across. Once I'm done drawing, I fill it all in with the dark black. And candy canes are a lot of fun. I think they're iconically Christmas. These look a little close together, so I'm going to move this down a little bit there. Go like that. Maybe even a little more. Again, you always want to have a wet paper towel to help you erase. On a sunny day, the paint dries pretty quick. That's kind of the beauty of this acrylic paint. It does dry fast, so you can move pretty quickly. And when you move quickly, you can paint more and get more stores done, or your classroom, or your home windows. This acrylic paint you can use anywhere. Again, it's non-toxic. I mean, you don't want to be eating it or anything like that, but it's non-toxic. So if you get it on your skin, which I always get it on my hands, it will wash off. And you just play around with it until you get it just right. It doesn't have to be perfect. You will develop your own style. Even though I'm showing you my technique and my style is kind of unique to me, and as with any artwork, even if you paint the same thing, every artist looks different. So you will develop your own style and have your own unique look as you paint. Okay, thank you again. We're back here in the studio. Yes, someone had a question over there. Oh, why am I painting Christmas when it's still summer? The answer is Christmas is good and fun any time of the year. Hey, you got to keep your neighbors guessing what you're doing if you're an artist. Okay, let's get started. This next one here, I'm going to show you what I learned over the years, how to make a nice wreath. And there's a couple of ways you can do it. I'm going to show you two different ways. Again, you want to have your, I just spilled my water, but that's okay. It's a non-permeable floor. So you want to have your wet paper towel and your cup of black paint. So with the wet paper towel, I'm going to draw the circle. And it makes it real easy to put in a circle for the wreath. And sometimes I just lightly, very lightly make it, because I want to make sure I get a circle shape and not an oval shape. So you see there, I kind of went in and I'm erasing around. So I do know that basically this is going to make a nice circle. Oh, this edge is up a little bit. Somewhere around like that is the circle. Or like you did in school, you could have a string, and you could even go like this. Just hold the end of your brush and make your circle like that. That's another way to do it. And then in a wreath, you have the center part. So a wreath, is made of holly, and it kind of has these jagged edges. So I have the very light circle outline, so I know to make like some jagged edges all around that circle. And once again, I'm keeping the paint very light and going like that. Now, this is when I have large windows and several businesses in one day over the holiday painting season, I'll do a quicker wreath like this. And when you get to the bottom, it's kind of fun. So I'm at the bottom here, I make a bow. And this is how you make a bow. Just a little circle like that, and then like a little oval piece. Now we're thinking of a bow. So you want to keep them relatively the same size. See, there you have a bow. And it's always nice, the bow always has a little trail at the end. So this is an easy way to make a trailing bow. So you just sloop it like that. And what you want to do with the bow is you want to have a wide end. See how that end is kind of a wide end? It's almost like a rectangle. But you know how bows swirl around like that? See, even at the end, I'll show you how to do this little swirl at the end. So at the end, you swirl it like that, and then you bring this down like it folds over. And then at the top. So if this is on this end, usually you want on the opposite end to have the other part of that bow. So I have this on this end, and the top part is on this other end. And this one's going to be a little simpler. So we'll come down, and I'll just go like that. So you start thin at the top, and it looks better if the bow's thicker at the bottom, and you bring it together. You bring that wide bottom together, and again, you can make that little swirl at the end, and bring it down like that. So that's kind of neat. You can make it really long. You can go swirl it all back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and finish with the outline here, like that. There we go. So now that we have, I'm pretty happy with the design of it, the outline of it. I'm going in and I'm making the outline opaque now. You want it opaque because that is like the leading in stained glass. You always have lead around all the colors. Or a coloring book. It's a black outline and you color in the coloring book. That's how this works. It's either like stained glass or a coloring book. And again, it helps you see, so this image, during the day, you can see it because the sun will shine through, and at night, when it gets dark outside, the light from the inside will shine through this. That's the nice thing about this technique and this style is that it works like stained glass. You can see through the window. You can see the colors. And when the sun hits the colors, if you have a window in direct sunlight, it pops it, just like stained glass. It's kind of a neat technique. And we'll go ahead and do that. Now there's a couple of things you can do with this wreath after you get it all colored in. What I like to do, I like to break up all the green. Sometimes what I do is I put little round circles in here to make for, so I'll do a little bit of both. What I do is I'll make like the ribbon, and then I'll make like a circle so I can add color. And I'll do like another ribbon, and I'll add a couple more. You know how you put little ornaments in wreaths? They can be different sizes. And add another bow, and a couple more circles. Maybe I'll add one there. And you just fill in the space. It's your design. You design it as you think would look best on the window. I'm going to add one more ribbon right here, and I think I'm gonna move it down a little bit, just to balance this off. I think I'm gonna move that. That's why we paint in a thin, loose paint, because we want to be able to move things around. I think to balance this out, this ribbon's gonna look better like that. There we go. And then I'll add a couple more of these ornaments over here. Or you could have it all ornaments, or you could have it like more ribbon. But you see how quickly a wreath can go up? And it's original. These are all original designs. So that's something, if you're going to businesses where you live, you can say it's all original designs. And each one comes out different. That's what's unique about this. No one else, no other business in town is going to have the same window. And where the ribbon is, you kind of want to get rid of a little bit of the, you know how a ribbon wraps around a wreath? We'll get rid of the jagged holly part, and we'll just make it straight, like that. Same up here. Okay, I'm just going to show you again what some of my brushes look like. I like these angled brushes. You don't want them too long. I'm not sure the brand, but just take a look at this. This is what works best for me. You may have a little arsenal of brushes yourself. See which ones work best for you. These smaller ones at an angle get into the tighter, smaller areas, and the larger ones can cover larger areas. I have yet an even bigger brush for really super large areas. And so all I'm going to use on here is white and green and red. And I want to start with white, but I have green in my hand. Let me go get my white. So again, I get a wet paper towel. It makes the surface easier to paint. It makes the surface glide, makes the paint glide over the surface more if you get it wet. These windows can be very dry being in the sun. So I go with white first because it's, you know what is going to be white, but you have to make these other color decisions later. Once I put the white in, the candy cane always has white, but it may have red, or it may be a green candy cane. So I always start with white and fill in everything that I know for sure that I want to be white. What I do is I make color decisions as I move along. You don't have to do that. You can predetermine what colors you're going to use. You can pre-draw it out and show the customer what it's going to look like. So again, I wet the surface with the white paint, and I go around to the edge. And if you go over, see how I'm going over onto the black a little bit? That's okay. Just try to stay within that. If you go over on the black, it's okay, but you don't want to go into the next section. You want to keep all the white. Also, it's nice to have the brush strokes. You will see the brush strokes. See, it's almost drawing there a little bit. It's nice to have the brush strokes go in the same direction like this. See how I'm making them go in the same direction? It gives another dynamic to the paint. And it'll be dry pretty soon. But I like to go all the way to the edge, over the black a little bit. See? And then I can wet the surface here a little bit. Again, it just makes the paint slide. I'm going to show you on the next one if you don't use the wet paint. So this one, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to show you how it still slides, but it can dry. It's a little more sticky. It's not too hot today, so it's not drying. Sometimes, if the sun is hitting the window, it will dry the paint so fast. That's another reason to wet it with a paper towel. But this paint is thin enough where it's gliding pretty well. Again, I do like to wet it. Try both, see which one you like. Again, I'm not going all the way to the edge here, just keeping it for the owner so I don't go on to that. It'll make it easier for him to clean. And as you notice, I start with a straight edge down the side like that. And if I go over a little bit, what I'll do is I'll just run this down like that, and I'll make it a nice straight edge. So from there, I can go like this. So on this window, I'm going to go ahead and, with my wet paper towel, see some of those lines that I moved around. They're still there. It's very easy to wipe them off. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one here. I'm going to go with the red here, with the white here. Oops, this one's still, okay, did you see that? The black is still wet on there. I've also run into, hold on. If it's raining outside, your paint won't dry very quickly. If it's a bright sunny day and the sun's hitting the window, it'll dry within minutes. So if you run into it when it's a rainy day and you're painting, and I've painted on many rainy days through the years, what you'll have to do is make sure you paint in the middle, get all the middle. And then at the end, go to the edge, outline the edge. And as I do that, see the black is coming on the tip. And then I'll clean my brush. And I know that on the edge where the black is, I'm going to have black on my paintbrush. But to keep moving along, if you don't have time to wait for the rain to stop, you just stay away from that edge until the very end, like that. I'll go with this one. So this black paint is still a little bit wet, so I'm filling in the middle again, like that, and then I'll go around the edge. I've got a little bit of black paint on there. I'll go around this edge, keeping the white in the middle. There we go. Yep, a little bit of black there. And the brush strokes still look nice, even if you have to do it a little bit differently like that. I was going to say, good thing I wore this green t-shirt because I'm doing Christmas. Green, green. Green's my favorite color. What's your favorite color? Mine's green. Okay, so next I've decided to go with green. I got all the white in that I want to get. And now the main gist of this is going to be the green wreath. Now, I'm doing the green wreath first before I do the red because I know the wreath is going to be green and I want to make the ribbons red. Could have made the ribbons white, yellow, whatever color you want, but I kind of want to keep it simple with red, white, and green. So I know for sure green here. Then I'll make a decision. Do I want one green candy cane and one red candy cane, or do I want two red candy canes? So those are the kind of the decisions that I make along the way. You can make those decisions before you paint. So here we go. Let's start with the wreath here a little bit. The brush strokes on the green, sometimes I like the brush strokes to be straight, but on the wreath that usually is imitating holly, I like to make them a little jagged. It's kind of fun to make them have a little bit of dynamic movement to them, like a piece of mistletoe or a piece of holly would be a little more dynamic. And again, don't worry about going over the black. You want to make sure you get all the open window covered. You don't want to leave a little space. You want to make sure you get all the way up like that. And again, if you go over the black drawing, that's okay, because we have a way of fixing that, which I'm going to show you at the end. So I know that's green, that's going to be a red ribbon. Sometimes I like to just get the paint on there, just make sure all the paint is on there, and then I'll go back and put in a little bit of that dynamic movement. Just give the brush a little wiggle. And maybe some areas are a little thicker, some areas are a little thinner. And I always like to go around the whole circle, and we'll get in on the edge. And then we'll go to this one. Next, after putting in the green, now I'm going to go with red. So because I want this to be a more balanced window, I think I'm going to go with both candy canes red. You can make it one red, one green. It's just a personal preference. So here we go with the red. Okay, so all we have left are a couple of the different Christmas balls in here. You can just pick any color you want. I like to put maybe some pink and blue and maybe a little bit of purple in there. So here we go. The rest of these I'm going to put yellow, and I want to tell you my secret with the yellow. I've had different people ask me through the years, how do you paint yellow? Because straight out of the tube, It's so transparent. It looks so different from the other paint. The secret to yellow acrylic paint, any brand, because I've tried a lot of brands, is you add white. That's the secret. So I have a little bit of white in here, and I'm putting in a little bit of yellow, and it makes it more opaque, and it matches the opaqueness of the other colors. So here we go, a little bit of yellow. And the final secret to this demonstration, the final thing that I want to tell you, remember how we went over the line? The colors went over the black line. When it gets dark inside, it's going to look really sloppy. But this is how you clean it up. You take your black paint, and I usually add a little bit of water to my black paint. Hold on, let me get my water. The reason I add a little water to the black paint is because I want it to be a little bit thinner. It doesn't have to be thick, and it makes it slide over the paint better. So I probably put too much water in here. So what you do is you go back over and you outline it, and it cleans up all those lines really nice. It just makes the black outline solid. And you can see more of the purple there. See how I'm just getting rid of that sloppiness and making it all a solid color again. And it's much more noticeable at night. So you go over and you just have a thin black paint so it doesn't take long. Painting like this probably take about 10 minutes to go over all the lines. But as you can see, it just cleans it right up. We'll go over that bow. Just go over the lines that you've already drawn. Here we go, like that. Clean that line up. Clean that line up. Especially the circles. Just clean those lines right up. Get the edges. Okay, and then you finish that out. So here we are, the finished window. From the outside, this is what it looks like. And I have actually 3 more demonstrations that I want to tell you. A lot of times people want Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. How do you write backwards? I'm going to show you how I write backwards. And I'm also going to show you a little trick on some candy, some different candy, and Christmas lights. So you can move these around and arrange them any way you like. You can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. I've made these candy canes all the way to the top on some different windows that I did through the years. So stay tuned for a couple of quick little demos right after this.